Hey wrestling fans, it's Sean from the Scumbags Wrestling. Have you checked out our latest t-shirt design? It's inspired by our friends over at London Comic Con. Nigel Lewis of NCL Studios came up with this amazing design of a comic book cover. It features 22 stars of the Ontario independent wrestling scene, including Cody Diener, Jody Threat, Casey Spinelli, Tyson Dukes, Brent Banks, Tarek, Sebastian Suave, Halal Beefcake, graduates of the Tyson Dukes Wrestle Factory, and many more. You can get your t-shirt for just $30 or buy the poster for $15. Proceeds from this sale are going to go to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto on behalf of Steven's Wrestling Journey. Steven's an 8-year-old fighting Chiari malformation, and they're searching for a cure. You can contact me either through our Facebook page, Scumbags Wrestling, or email me at scumbagswrestling@gmail.com. Get yourself a great t-shirt with an amazing design and help a wonderful cause at the same time. So contact me today and get your shirt or poster.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Chris Maloney for episode number 22, half of my age, TNT Thursday Night Throwdown, alongside Sean Bates of the Scumbags of Wrestling, and Mr. Stephen O'Neill there in Toronto. Guys, how you doing? How's you, well, I guess we did this on Sunday, so it's only been 3 days, but how's it been for you guys?
Good. It was Monday.
Yeah, we recorded Monday, not Sunday.
No, it was Thursday Night Throwdown was on Sunday.
Oh, for Thursday Night Throwdown.
There you go. Both of you guys owe me an apology.
Yes, for Thursday Night Throwdown, it's been only a couple days because we did it right before NXT TakeOver in your house. But we were also talking on Monday for Fantasy Warfare tournament.
Yeah, so if you look behind me, besides the Bullet Club shirt, you will notice quite a few champions up there, whether it be figures or DVDs or Funko Pops or masks or whatever the case might be. And there is a reason for it. We'll get into that sometime later in the show. But yeah, it was weird kind of doing the show on the Sunday for Thursday Night Throwdown, that is. And then Monday we did Fantasy Warfare Tournament. King of Kings, wasn't it? Is that what the one was on Monday?
Yep.
Yeah, so King of Kings on Monday. So we get some big news involving Fantasy Warfare Tournament coming up, like I said, later on the show. Unfortunate news in a way, good and bad, but Mr. Wrestling 2 passed away at 85 years old. That was on June 10th, so yesterday. Real name Johnny Walker, better known as 70s and 80s star Mr. Wrestling 2, passed away at the age of 85. Basically born in Charleston, North Carolina. Made his debut in 1955 and basically worked for nearly 10 years under his birth name before retiring. He returned I'm stumbling words already. He returned a few years later under a mask as the Grappler before going back into semi-retirement in 1972. However, in his decade-plus run as Mr. Wrestling 2, many fans are the most familiar with, originally teamed with Mr. Wrestling, feuded with Magnum TA, officially retired in 1990. Apparently, Jimmy Carter, former U.S. president, was a huge fan of his, so that's kind of cool. But 85 years old and passing away. Guys, I mean, it's one of those things. Seems like we report on a death every single episode of TNT lately, but 85 years old. I mean, that's a long ass life. You guys have any memories of Mr. Wrestling 2 or anything like that?
Myself, not overly. I think recall he showed up at a WCW pay-per-view and was in the corner of, I think it was Paul Orndorff, and he put something up in his mask and gave a headbutt to whoever Orndorff was going against and helped him win. But beyond that, I really didn't see too much of Mr. Wrestling 2. I did hear also part of his obituary, another podcast talked about, was the fact that I guess Jimmy Carter's mom was good friends with him, and he was actually invited to Carter's inauguration, but he had to say no because the Secret Service would have wanted him to unmask to be there. So he said no to that. And then one of the last things he did also involved Steve Corino, who he teamed with, and he was super old, I think at that time, like 73, and did a match with Corino, and Corino became Mr. Wrestling 3. So,
yeah, that I didn't know. Stephen, any thoughts or memories on Mr. Wrestling 2?
I've watched a little bit on Mid-South. He's your typical late 70s, mid-70s mass wrestler, which I love. I watch him on the network now, and I love him. I'm looking at I didn't realize how many championships he won. He's from Florida to Continental to Deep South. I'm guessing not to Hawaii to Mid-South, Georgia, NWA, Tri-States. Yeah, I can't believe how many titles he won.
I'm going to start nicknaming you, I think, Mr. Championship Wikipedia.
Yeah, well.
You seem to always have that right in front of you, especially when we're doing Fantasy Warfare, how many titles people have won. So
it's called research.
Research. I don't know if I can spell that word.
You need to do that.
But anyways, guys, rest in peace, Mr. Wrestling 2. I get excited over the past couple of days at this, and if you can see that logo, oh, there we go. So you can see that logo in the background. That stands for one thing and one thing only. New Japan Pro Wrestling is back. They are returning in basically, COVID-19 fashion. So they're taking things lightly to get to the point where they're eventually going to have fans again. But special conference this past Tuesday, New Japan Pro Wrestling officially announced a return to action with a series of 9 events to air without fans in attendance on New Japan World, starting next week on June 15th. And then basically they go on to talk about the cards. So the first card, Together Project Special, that's Monday, June 15th, New Japan Cup 2020. I believe there is 9 shows of New Japan Cup 2020. And then Dominion Actually, sorry, 8 shows in New Japan Cup 2020, and then Dominion in Osaka-jo Hall is taking place over 2 nights. So basically, the last 2 nights were Dominion in Osaka-jo Hall. You'll see 1/3 of capacity as far as the fans go, being allowed to witness New Japan live. Only downside about being here in Canada, especially London, Ontario, they are 13 hours ahead of us. So if it's running at 7 p.m., as far as their time goes, it's 6 a.m. in the morning over here. So, and most of the times you'll see the odd show that's like maybe 2 a.m., 1 a.m., but nope, 6 a.m. pretty much every New Japan Cup show. So I'm excited. It's, wrestling is coming back. It's trying to make a comeback. Obviously the eastern side of the world making its way this way, much like COVID did. Guys, your thoughts on New Japan Pro Wrestling putting on basically about 9 shows before they go live to fans again? Are you excited as far as real wrestling besides North American wrestling taking place again?
Yeah. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I'm good with it coming back. I heard some of the numbers, though, that they were going to be doing, along with testing, though. We're maybe with third capacity is about 4,000 fans to be in attendance. So if that's able to be done, but at the same time, you got to worry about that second wave that keeps on looming as a warning that it's going to come, just not sure when. And hopefully something like this isn't the cause. But, we've also seen here in North America, tens of thousands of people doing marches and protests, and thankfully nothing's popped up yet. So,
oh no, in your London, Ontario, someone has tested positive from the Black Lives Matter protest. So anyone that went there, they really should go get tested and self-isolate.
Well, apparently, what's her name? Christine Elliott got tested and was shopping at the LCBO. You saw that?
Of course.
She was there after her test results came back negative.
No, she went before she got the test. Then she went to get wine, because what else do you do here in Toronto than drink?
All right, we'll leave it at that. But anyways, New Japan Pro Wrestling is coming back. June 15th is the official start date, and first round tournament match has Kota Ibushi taking on Zack Sabre Jr. So anybody who is familiar with the original Cruiserweight Classic with Tyson Dukes, so Kota was it Kota and Zack were part of that, weren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, so both were. So guys, New Japan Pro Wrestling is back, but something I want to get to right now because
quick question about this, because I didn't see the card yet. Is it just people living in Japan is in the New Japan Cup? Because I didn't see the wrestlers in it yet. I haven't seen so I wasn't sure if anyone from England or anything is able to fly there, or is it all just like?
So are we talking specifically just the cup itself?
Well, any of the shows they've announced,
So when you look at the roster for both the left and the right side of the tournament itself, it looks like pretty much everybody that's Japan based is part of this, because you don't see ELP, who is Canadian based. Zack Sabre Jr. would be the exception, but I believe he's got residence over there. So
yeah, he's living over there, and from my understanding, also they're not narrowing it down to the different weight classes. So some of the best of the Super Juniors are involved with this because they need bodies to fill it out.
Yeah, and that's the first time I think in the history of the tournament, because most of the times they rely on the heavyweights, and then the winner goes up against the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, which is this case Tetsuya Naito. But the fact is, it's open weight this tournament, so it's going to make for some exciting matches. The only one that I would have loved to see in this, and I understand why he's not part of it, would be Will Ospreay, because the guy is absolutely phenomenal. And the fact is, he was going to step up to weight class anyways, but we'll have to wait and see what August, September brings out. But regardless of the fact, New Japan Pro Wrestling is back. I want to get to some topics later on, so I want to do this first. WWE Backlash takes place this coming Sunday, 7 o'clock start time. Pre-show, obviously, the kickoff takes place at 6 p.m. WWE Network as well as social media networks. Guys, might as well do prediction style here, just to get your quick thoughts as well as anything that stands out to you. But first match, United States Championship match, Apollo Crews taking on Andrade. Winner and why? Sean?
This is the worst part because they look like they're getting back behind Apollo Crews, but now they're putting the former champ in there after Andrade's looked bad the last couple times losing, and it almost seems as though they're going to give it back to Andrade. It was more of a, feel good moment for a second and snatch it away from him. So who knows, but probably Andrade.
All right, Steven, who's your pick?
I'm assuming Andrade with the help of Selena Vega and Angel Garza, but fucking knows anymore.
Yeah, no, my predictions for last week were really bad. I got like 2 right out of 6.
I'm gonna say Garza basically goes and distracts Andrade to the point that Apollo comes up and beats him. So I'm gonna say Apollo retains, and that is the end for Andrade and Garza. So that is my pick on that one. Sean, yeah, you did do shitty last time. I don't think I did much better, but I'll have to go back and see. Next match, Women's Tag Team Championship match, Bayley and Sasha Banks taking on Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, taking on the Iconics. So Bayley and Sasha Banks, champs. Steven, your pick?
Alcohol? I'm going to assume Bayley and Sasha Banks, but Jesus. I'm assuming Sasha Banks and Bayley, but I don't know anymore. They all seem like they're going to fight each other. The Iconics seem like we're breaking up, but now they're – and then I'm going Sasha Banks and Bayley just because why not?
All right, Sean, who's your pick?
Yeah, if it wasn't for SummerSlam not being the next event to come up, I would say somebody other than Sasha and Bayley, but I'm going to go with Sasha and Bayley as well to retain, and they'll do something else again because they keep on teasing them for the last 2 years that they were going to break up and rekindle what they did in NXT, but it hasn't happened. And, of course, the winner of this matchup actually is going to go to NXT on Wednesday to defend against Shotzi and
Tegan Nox.
Tegan Nox, yeah.
Steven shaking his head. I'm going to go so the 3-0 on this one, so Sasha and Bayley as well. Reason for it is because the fact is apparently this was one of the reasons Sasha Banks was pissed off, because when they first won the championships, there was no legacy behind it. There was nothing to say, hey, we're established champions. When they lost it, Sasha apparently had a hissy fit, so I think this is their way to make it up to them. Seeing the fact that, Charlotte Flair is going back to NXT and doing her thing, why not have Sasha Banks and Bayley go down to NXT and, put them up against people like Shotzi and who's the other one?
Tegan Nox. And that's how a tag team there. They just, you two, you get to go fight now.
But I know they're high on Tegan Nox as far as NXT goes, so we'll have to wait and see where this goes. I know she's one of those signees that Triple H want to, shoot to the moon, so to speak. So we'll have to wait and see. This I have no clue about because I really haven't been following SmackDown lately. So maybe one of you guys can fill me in. Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. I know the backstory, but has it been as bad as people have said it is?
It depends on your point of view. A lot of people are shitting on it because it's the typical let's exploit Jeff's drug history like they did with him and CM Punk and stuff like that. But people are also taking it an extra step further because of the framing sort of storyline that they're doing right now, and Sheamus apparently framed them. But one thing I pointed out on somebody else's message board is the fact that regardless of what they're showing, they did not at all put a bottle of alcohol in Jeff's hands. You saw nothing to that effect, unlike how Jerry Lawler with Jake Roberts, and there was that temptation. They only are making you assume that there was, because, he was found in the bushes, all beat up and disoriented, and smelling of alcohol. Well, anybody can say that as part of a storyline. You and me can't say it didn't happen type deal, or say that, he was drenched in alcohol. So it's left up to the viewer to assume what's going on. Jeff Hardy's okay with it going on. And as I said, they didn't put the substance on him visibly so that there's no chance of him necessarily relapsing. All right. If they had given it to him like how Jake and Lawler did, then I'd be questioning it. But it's story, so why not?
Steven looks like he's patiently waiting right there.
Because did you hear what the segment is tomorrow? Where Sheamus he won't get in the ring with him unless he has a drug test? Right then and there, and then Jeff Hardy throws piss at him?
Hold on, is this one of the tape things?
It's already
taped.
So this has been spoiled then.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm not watching SmackDown tomorrow then.
Next.
All right, so who are we picking though?
Oh, Jeff Hardy, just because.
Yeah,
Sean?
Jeff. It's got to have to be Jeff Hardy because they're making him do a piss test and blah blah blah.
The only way it's not Jeff Hardy is if it's somebody else that framed him, because he said that it was somebody with red hair and red beard. So unless Eric Rowan is back, it was Sheamus, obviously, but they could swerve us somehow. And
who's that dude that Nikki Cross is married to?
Killian Dane, but
yes, he's been gone for a while.
Yeah, so who knows? But
we just bypass that.
Maybe it's the return to Eric Rowan.
Let's hope not.
Maybe he's wearing a wig or something like that.
Or anyways, Eric Rowan's doppelganger.
Yeah, I'm going to go Sheamus. No reason why, just because of the fact I don't think they're going to bring him back to be a heel to not put him over in this one. So we'll get to a better match. So forget I just said that. Asuka versus Nia Jax. I will be the first to comment on this. I don't want to see the match happen. I think if anybody is going to potato Nia Jax, I think it's going to be Asuka. Whether or not she's going to be too nice, but the fact is, there was, I forget where I saw it, but there was a list online, I think the past 4 years of Nia Jax and how many injuries she's caused to women. Obviously, the only one that stood out and they went storyline with it was Becky Lynch, but the fact is she's injured Bayley. She's injured Kairi Sane twice. I think there was somebody else on that list. She's a danger. She should not be in the ring, and I'm saying that as a wrestling fan, but the fact is, I don't know where they're going to go with this. If they put the title on Nia Jax, I'm done watching WWE for the rest of the year. I'll tell you that. So I do ask her for the win.
Yeah, it better be Asuka, because if not, yeah, I don't get it. And that's the other thing, though, that somebody complained about on a message board, too, that Asuka was handed the title. Well, would it still been handed the title had they announced that the belt was going to be in the briefcase? Like, either way, she earned that briefcase and won the title. Like, and she better keep it.
What is the WWE supposed to do? Make Becky Lynch get in the ring pregnant? Go risk something.
They had Maria Kanellis win the 24 championship while she was pregnant.
That's a roll up, or in her case, you put a finger on Bennett, I think.
No, well,
yeah. I'm assuming that it should be Asuka, but I have a bad feeling it's going to be Nia Jax. I have this. Oh, I completely agree, but I have this bad feeling because I thought they were setting up a program, Nia Jax versus, I thought it was Charlotte or someone. So, but I don't know. Fuck, let's hope it's Asuka. Can we move along before I drink again?
All right. So, and it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, I know.
Braun Strowman taking on The Miz and John Morrison, a handicap match. Steven, who's your pick?
Alcohol, clearly. The sad part, this is all tape. I'm assuming Braun Strowman, they have someone in John Morrison who should be a world champion in this picture. I'm going Braun Strowman, but it could be John Morrison. I don't know what type of drugs they're doing, but I wish they'd share for us to suffer through this.
All right, Sean, thoughts on the match?
Considering last week on SmackDown was all comedy with smashing windows, turning over a van, and you can't do that on television slime. Yeah. Braun probably is going to retain because I don't see them ever splitting that Universal Championship into co-champions, but it could also spell the end of Miz and Morrison, and maybe launch Morrison into the main event scene fully after he disposes of Miz. But Braun's going to retain.
So, like I said, I haven't seen SmackDown a little bit, but there was a comparison to the Home Alone movie and basically what took place on SmackDown last week with Strowman playing the role of Macaulay Culkin, and then Miz and Morrison being the quote unquote criminals, so to speak, and then all of a sudden, who was it? Caleb Braxton got slimed or something like that.
Yeah.
So
you think I was watching that horse shit?
I was just saying it was anyway rhetorical. Next match, it's a little bit better here. Drew McIntyre taking on Bobby Lashley. New champ, still champ.
Still champ. It's going to be Drew McIntyre. If the problem is Lashley, Drew McIntyre can put on a match that's worth watching. Bobby Lashley, on the other hand, cannot. So I'm hoping Drew McIntyre carries him through this match and makes it watchable. I'm hoping that they keep the title on Drew McIntyre and let him have a run, because he's actually entertaining and can actually wrestle. But it's WWE, so who knows? But I'm going Drew McIntyre.
Sean?
Well, this is a rematch, I think, from Impact, of these two battling over the Impact Championship. I would like to see Drew retain. However, at the same time, if they give it to Lashley and had him chase after the title, when they're able to get fans back, which they're allowing fans eventually, probably by SummerSlam, this would allow then Drew to get it back at SummerSlam and have that celebration moment with half the fans that he could have had beforehand, but didn't have any fans at WrestleMania. I still want to say Drew's going to win, but I would not be surprised if they switched it, just for that factor down the road for getting Drew that moment of winning in front of people.
Yeah, to a degree, but Drew's not from Boston, so I got to leave it at that. I'm going to say Drew McIntyre to retain.
It's not going to be in Boston. Boston's already canceled it. It'll be somewhere in Florida.
Well, okay, that being said, it still doesn't change my mind, but I see them running with Drew the same way they're running with Bayley right now. So it's going to be hard. It's because of who Drew beat at WrestleMania. You went from Brock Lesnar to the Big Show and now Bobby Lashley, three enormous sized guys, and basically Drew McIntyre is, basically putting them in their places. I don't know who's going to take the title from him. It probably either going to set it up. It's going to be Seth Rollins down the road, but I don't see it happening right now. Sean's going to look at confusion on his face, but
I don't know. There's something else.
Okay. All right. Last match of the night, what they're calling the greatest wrestling match ever. Ric Flair tends to disagree, but Edge taking on Randy Orton. We should have just skipped the whole backlash thing, but Steven, I'll put you out of your misery. Get your comments first.
Well, I was listening to Dave Meltzer and his little crony, I forget. And they said it was a 35-minute match.
Wade Keller?
Is that the one who has...
No, Brian Alvarez.
That's it. 35 minutes. Let that sink in, people. 35 minutes.
Same length of time as their WrestleMania match, basically.
Okay, but WrestleMania, you could hide a lot because it was a street fight or no hold barred or last minute, whatever the hell they wanted to call it this time. This is supposed to be a wrestling match. Oh, Jesus. I don't know if there's enough alcohol or weed to smoke to watch this to make it good. I have a feeling Tommaso Ciampa is somehow going to play a factor and screw over Randy Orton. But going to go Edge because I think Tommaso Ciampa is going to come in and screw over Orton because I'm hoping everything that's been on social media is a work. 35 minutes of this horseshit, it's going to be bad.
The only downside to that is how small is Ciampa going to look to Orton and Edge. I mean, it's like when they brought them up to SmackDown and how small they looked. And Vince was like, nope, you guys are going back down.
There's got, oh my god, do you want to watch 35 minutes of this?
No, I'm not saying that, but I mean, if they're going to throw a twist like Ciampa in there, yes, fine. But I mean, to put him in guys like 6'3" and 6'4" with Orton and Edge, fact is, it's going to expose him as looking like small.
Well, at this point, what the fuck else do they have to lose? Really, think about it. What is WWE programming? NXT, at least NXT is watchable, but Raw and SmackDown, is it watchable? No. Is it painful to watch? Yes. Do they need to do something to make it watchable? Yes. That might be Tommaso Ciampa and Randy Orton.
As much as those two are going back and forth with each other, I kind of hope it's not them because, as Chris said, the size difference. And I know Ciampa and Gargano both said, like others, they don't really want to be brought up to the main roster because of how poorly they're treated and also the size difference. At least without an NXT, they got a fighting chance to look credible. Now, if somebody was going to interfere, and it doesn't sound like that's been a leaked rumor or anything, but I'd be down with Matt Riddle at least doing something with Orton, at least size-wise compared to Ciampa.
I love Riddle, don't get me wrong, but is it Riddle's on SmackDown? Aren't these two fools on Raw?
True.
That is correct.
That's why I'm thinking it has. I was thinking it would have like Ciampa. They also were talking about Donovan Dijakovic coming up, which
that's.
And he was so okay. So for the record, yeah, Riddle is on SmackDown. Donovan is on Raw. So
well, he hasn't officially called up. Well, to us yet, but as far as I know, he's up on Raw.
No, but as far as what Sean calls the dirt sheets, yeah, he's been called up to Raw. So, I mean, it'd be a way to make his impression in the match. You know what I mean? Especially against both of them. So, if it's 35 minutes, man, I still haven't seen the first one, but 35 minutes of a pure wrestling match, so to speak, between, I mean, two guys in their 40s, and it's they could have done a lot better. I mean, give me Gargano and Ciampa for 40 minutes, no problem at all. Adam Cole versus Karrion Kross for 40 minutes, but
that doesn't mean that it's gonna be 35 minutes without whatever edits, and because it was the Backlash was taped last Sunday
before In Your House.
Yeah, so they're obviously going to make all these edits, even though it went live to the crowd 35 minutes. That doesn't mean the match is going to be 35 minutes.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to go Edge, my official pick. Sean, who's your official pick?
I'm going to go with Edge as well, unless they're going to make this basically a three falls storyline going on, because Edge got the first one, then Orton. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Edge.
All right, Steven, Edge or Orton?
Edge. I think it'll be an NXT guy coming up to screw Orton. And Edge is going to be kind of the mentor to this person.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. So anyway, go ahead.
You missed the match. It's the stupid one. Street Profits and
Viking Raiders. Is that official?
I assume it is based on the. Did anyone see Did you guys see the horseshit from Monday?
Yeah, they're tied still. And isn't there supposed potentially a Seth Rollins match that has not been announced?
They just will probably announce things, but from what I understood, this match was either the pre-show, but I'm assuming it's going to end in a draw. So don't worry, you're not going to miss any horseshit. But
yeah, well, according to WWE.com, that's the only official matches is the ones that I mentioned. Well, so, I mean, normally they go about 8 matches as far as a WWE pay-per-view goes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, there's only 7. So it is possible they add 2 matches, one on the pre-show and then one on the main card. So, but yeah, you're probably right about the Street Profits there. But doesn't sound like any one of us are too excited about it. But Backlash taking place not live this coming Sunday, 7 p.m. WWE Network, and then kickoff show, like I said, taking place on WWE Network as well as social media. Something that I didn't mind too much. Did you guys end up getting to see In Your House NXT TakeOver?
Yeah, I watched it.
So any highlights stand out to you besides Io Shirai?
I actually really enjoyed the parking lot brawl. It got Adam Cole over. It got Dexter Lumis onto the next level because I want to see him. And I mean, Undisputed Era is missing Kyle O'Reilly. You can see that, but eventually he's going to be back. So they have opportunities to do things. He can go off on his own now because he can, like, there's opportunities. I think the backlot brawl was actually well done.
Yeah, I think the only downside in that one was the Uber driver showing up to offer a ride or find out who needed a ride. But I also enjoyed the Karrion Kross Tommaso Ciampa match. It was what it needed to be. It was a show of force by Karrion Kross to establish his character, and Ciampa can bounce back from it, or if he's leaving to SmackDown, whatever. But Kross needed that victory to establish himself. Now, I think I mentioned Sunday with the women's match. I didn't expect Io Shirai to win. I honestly thought that Shirai was going to be there as the person to get defeated by Ripley, just to further a storyline with Charlotte that they can do down the line at a major pay-per-view like another WrestleMania or at SummerSlam, because Rhea has yet to beat Charlotte. So that would have made a little more sense. I'm okay with Io getting the title because that's a long time in the making, but she was also heel. So I don't know where that stands.
I'm guessing Rhea Ripley's moving up to the main roster.
Maybe.
That's the only reason why I assumed she didn't win, is she was moving up to the main roster. Or she has to go back to England.
No, that got all settled. And she's actually Australian.
Oh, well, whatever.
But she had been doing an interview and said that she did have the visa issues, but she didn't have to go back to Australia. They were able to solve them stateside, and that's when they brought her back to TV.
So I'm assuming that she's going up to the main roster, which I would be drooling at matches of her versus Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte Flair again. Oh, I want to see her versus Nia Jax.
Oh, jeez. We'll have to wait and see. But the fact is, I think the reason I didn't pick Io, because I think I said on Sunday, I thought she was going to be the one to get called up. I think Rhea at this point is too green, though. I can't see her going up to the main roster yet. I mean,
with everything being so heavily taped,
they can disguise it.
Yeah, because really, one Raw every other week is live, and I think once every other week NXT's live. Everything else is taped, so you can hide the greenness. Unlike what we'll talk about later in a women's match, you could hide it. What? I'm wearing green because of that match last night.
All right. We'll leave it at that. We'll get to your point now. So
did anyone watch the ending segment in NXT?
Hold on a second. I'm going to get to that right now. I know you're biting your lip trying to get your little rant out, but in time, Steven. AEW yesterday, 677 versus NXT 673. Very close as far as the ratings went this week. Cody versus Mark Quinn main event for AEW. Cody versus Hager was set up. FTR versus Butcher and the Blade was a great match. I'll say that. NXT 673. Cole versus Lumis was the main event. Kross set up to face Adam Cole, which I'm looking forward to. I didn't think they're going to do it this quick, but they are. And then El Hijo de Fantasma unmasks, which was, I was like, whoa, that actually happened. But anyways, what Steven's referring to is the ups and downs of NXT as well as AEW, more so the AEW, because you went from a great opening first tag team match of the debut of FTR in AEW down to the women's match that he wasn't too fond of. To me, I haven't seen NXT yet, obviously, because we're in Canada, but I did go through the card and see exactly what had taken place. Lumis, I'll tell you this. So somebody compared the opening segment on NXT to when Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, were in WCW, and Hogan kept seeing Warrior in the mirror, but nobody else could see him. So that was a whole big thing between Roderick Strong and Dexter Lumis. Is like all of a sudden Dexter kept showing up, nobody else could see him then. And then all of a sudden the El Hijo de Fantasma thing, the two guys were kidnapped, and next thing you know, all of a sudden now they're showing up again. That was one of the things I was listening to a podcast today, but I tell you this. So the opening match for AEW yesterday, as well as the closing segment for NXT, made it worthwhile to see both shows. But Steven, get your shit on. What are you looking forward to crapping on right now?
Okay, so let's go with AEW. We saw an amazing tag match opening. FTR, Butcher and the Blade. We all have seen Butcher and the Blade perform. We all know how good they are. They've been utilized like hell in AEW up until this point. And now people can understand why us in Ontario were so excited to see Butcher and the Blade show up in AEW. Because we all thought, well, hell, you got Young Bucks. Even though I'm not a big fan of them, they can put on a hell of a match. You've got guys that tag teams that could make a really good tag match.
Super Smash Brothers.
Yes. See, there's a lot of teams. So the first 11 minutes of the show was wonderful. And then Balding Buck and Road Warrior Buck came out, and then the show went from probably a 10 to a 0, and it never rose after that. It just kept dropping. It was going down faster than the Challenger. But like, it was horrible. I mean, then you get the women's tag match. That should not be on TV. I've seen, and this is no disrespect to anyone, I've seen Tyson Duke's students put on a better tag match with very little training compared to that horseshit. There was one female wrestler that should have been on TV last night. How do you say her name? The one you like. The woman.
Shida?
Yeah, Shida. She's the only.
It's her birthday today.
Okay, well, cool. Hopefully, like, her career is going down the shitter being in AEW's women division, but that's cool. Nyla Rose, great if you have someone who can lead her like Shida. Shida can get a good match out of her. The other, like, Penelope Ford, a fucking alien. You really no? It looked green. That match was presented by the color green.
All right. So, Sean, we'll get your thoughts because we're running short on time, and I want to make sure we focus enough time towards the end here.
Yeah, the opening tag match, liked what they're doing with Arn and Tully kind of scouting them, was good. Spears in the back playing with his glove. They still haven't explained the glove. That's dropping the ball because that goes back to the time of Ted DiBiase, Barry Windham, Blackjack Mulligan. Yes, they're going to form that.
I really so.
But beating Orange Cassidy with the bag of oranges and stuff like that. Why do we need more blood? There's no need for it. And then, you know, the way they're presenting Cody, it's, oh, well, here we go. It was a boring, like watching paint dry. AEW good match. Oh, yeah, defending his title. But at the same time, Cody and the Bucks, are they faces? Are they heels? Do they come off as heels even though they're faces? Like, why does Cody need a manager? Why is he wearing a belt and sometimes using it as a weapon? And like,
I didn't.
Okay, so hold on. I'll put it this way: what are you more excited to see? Karrion Kross taking on Adam Cole, or Cody taking on Jake Hager at this point?
Cole and Cross.
Yeah.
Steven shaking his head yes as well. All right.
No, they're going to fuck up Cody Rhodes and Jake Hager. You just know it. You know Cody Rhodes is going to bleed. He's going to win with the Crossroads. We've seen it. God love Mark Quinn. He's probably going to be a superstar eventually. He had no business being in that match with Cody Rhodes last night.
Yeah, but at the same time, the guy needs to learn how to sell. If his knee is bugging him that much, then he should have been screwing up more instead of, oh, my knee. and doing a flop, doing a flip. Oh, my knee, doing a flop perfectly.
And he's smiling while he's doing it.
Okay, I've seen worse. All right, option 2, Jake Hager. So announced for Fighter Fest, by the way. Jake Hager and Cody, or Brian Cage and Jon Moxley. What are you looking forward to more?
Probably Cody and Hager, because just the way they're setting up the other two, they don't really have much oomph behind them. There's not enough steam going in with Brian Cage, who's injury prone as it is, and he has Taz by his side. They're using legends or old timers really bad, where they actually take the spotlight away from the guy that they're accompanying. It's frustrating to watch, because they wanted to be an alternative. They wanted to show something different, but then they don't.
All right, Steven, hold on. I'll get your thoughts on something else. So, the Brian Cage versus Jon Moxley, or Tessa Blanchard defending the Impact World Championship against Eddie Edwards, Trey, Ace Austin, and Michael Elgin coming up at Slammiversary. That was announced this past Tuesday.
That's like asking me, do I want to drink poison or gasoline? But I'm going to go, and this is, sit down, Chris. I would much rather see Tessa Blanchard, Ace Austin, Michael Elgin, Trey. I'm missing someone. That's how much it made an impact on me to watch.
Eddie Edwards.
Yeah, which I don't understand, but at least Ace Austin, Tessa Blanchard, Trey, and Michael Elgin can work.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see where that goes, as well as the tease right now of anybody from WWE apparently possibly going back to Impact. I know Eric Young was rumored because of the fact when Elgin ended the show, Elgin was on the phone with somebody, and it's suspected to be Eric Young. One of the cool things about Impact this week, besides the return of Tessa Blanchard coming up, is the fact is Cody Deaner made his return to Impact, which was kind of cool. Kind of cleaned house. It's funny because in the match that he took part in, he come out and he was going for a running hug with Jake something, cousin Jake, and the next thing you know, they're like, wait a second, we can't hug because of quarantine, and then they went to high five. They can't do that. I think they end up bumping elbows instead. So Cody Deaner throwing the comedy in there. Last little bit of news before we touch base on Canadian Independent Wrestling, because there is some news as well as our news, is this. So UFC Fight Island is actually taking place. 4 dates announced: July 11th, July 15th, July 18th, and July 25th. Basically, UFC 251 as well as 3 fight nights are taking place on UFC Fight Island. That was announced by the UFC and Dana White. So
it's
people
Abu
who...
Dhabi.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi. People that can't see this, Steven was just kind of doing the whirly bird with his hand there. But the fact is, I'm excited. UFC 251, I'm excited to see what's going to happen there. I know you guys aren't fans of UFC or MMA, but to me personally, I can't wait to see it. One more comment by Chad Peterson here. Next week will be boring. Dustin and his tag team partner going against their AEW tag team. So what he's talking about.
Yeah. They have QT Marshall with the Bunny for no apparent reason. They're wasting Allie instead of her being with Butcher and Blade.
Apparently, there's some kind of thing coming up that Allie is still with Butcher and Blade. She's just trying to cause a rift between Dustin and QT. So
sounds exciting.
It might be a way to get Brandy back in the ring. See a Brandy versus Allie match.
Oh, that's about as good as Sharmell versus what's her name in TNA?
Jenna Maresca?
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Fucking AEW. Fuck me. Do they just try to be a shitty show now? Is that what their goal is?
Okay, on a better note and better subject, it's been a while since I've been able to talk about this, but live shows actually taking place as far as the Canadian independent wrestling scene goes. So the return to Canadian independent wrestling, 2 shows announced so far. I can't see any reason at all they won't take place. I was checking over in BC. I haven't seen anything there. I haven't seen anything in Ontario, the Maritimes, or Quebec at this point, but there are 2 shows taking place. CWE taking place on June the 12th tomorrow. That's at Rookie Sports Bar in Winnipeg, Manitoba. RCW Real Canadian Wrestling on June 20th, taking place in Edmonton. From what I've seen, either 1/3 capacity or limited to 100 fans. Not sure what the layout's going to look like. I mean, it's hard to put a plexiglass in a bar, but I mean, they'll do what they have to. Guys, are we one step closer here in Ontario to getting independent wrestling back? And I say that with regards to Sebastian Suave posting on his Facebook with regards to, what fans would like to see, what fans would expect to see, and what fans would pay to see here in Ontario. Sean, I know your standpoint on it all because of, what you do for work. But Steven, what about you? I mean, Smash Wrestling announces tomorrow that they're back at the Phoenix there in Toronto. Are you going to be one of the first ones to sign up and go?
Yep. I am over. Okay, so we all know I live in Toronto. I live right downtown Toronto, right by the old Maple Leaf Gardens. I see thousands of people a day. We'll call it an even 10,000 people. Maybe, if you're lucky, 25 people wearing a mask. People here are over it. I'm over it. We are all due for a second wave in November. Let me watch some live pro wrestling. Let businesses make some money because it's going to be a long winter. But yeah, I'd be right there. I'm not worried. Is there going to be some changes at live shows? Yeah. Are we probably going to be able to get up close and personal like we have been pre-COVID? No. But I know that coming in. Are they probably going to space front row seats out? Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. I don't want to see plexiglass because I think it just won't look right, especially at a Smash show. But to me, space people out, limit if wrestlers are going to sell merch, make it online, pick up only at the venue. You just limit it. There will be changes, but I would be there to see the first show. No questions asked.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to my wife about this. It's like, how do you do this? And one of the things is basically you have a bunch of signed photos pre-signed, you know what I mean, on a table, like a merch table, and then fans can come up and just buy that. And, maybe there's not necessarily any interaction with the wrestlers and stuff like that, but at least they can still buy the merch and support them.
But the thing is they all have, most of them have social media. They could post, okay, I'm going to be at Smash at the Rec Room June 12th. And you post it 3 or 4 weeks ahead. Please message me if you want merch personalized, like pictures. If you want them personalized, you prepay ahead, you send the money, they have it there. If you really want to personalize, there's ways around it. There's ways to get things personalized if you really want them.
No, Sean, it hits me and you more than it's Steven at this point because of the fact tomorrow is Friday. June the 12th. As of 12:01, a lot of things changed for us here in London. One of the biggest is Steven's throwing up the bird for the second time this show. But malls are open again once tomorrow. Restaurants, anything with a patio is open up. Port Stanley has the option to open up, but they're not at this point. Grand Bend's still shut down. But you can actually go down Richmond tomorrow at like 6 o'clock, see people sitting at the seats once again. Jack Astor's on Richmond. It's livelihoods picking back up. And as Steven had mentioned, you can walk out in the streets of Toronto and basically see like 5 people wearing a mask because people have just had enough. How close do you think we are to seeing wrestling here again, either Toronto or London? And as well as, are you with you doing the job that you do? I know you said wrestling events are going to be few and far between until, vaccine, whatever the case may happen. But does it concern you at all about the malls or, Richmond Street and stuff like this? And one of the reasons I asked, because you said you had, I think it was like last Saturday, you and your wife had taken a drive, just doing what normal people have done during COVID. So what are your thoughts on the whole opening up here in London tomorrow, as well as how it relates to getting wrestling back in this city?
Yeah, it's quite the conundrum, to be honest. Like they say this can open, that can open, but nothing's very clear on what it is like it's been so wishy-washy of what rules and regulations are, and it's like they're just making it up. It's unfortunate though that we don't have at least a vaccine to go. Okay, you have a choice: take it or get it, or just roll the dice and hope that you don't get sick. But until then, it's sort of buyer beware, take your chances, and if you get it, then you knew the risk. If not, lucky you, and enjoy your freedom of getting to go places. I know a lot of places are going to be open and going to be separating people differently. I did see one bar here in London. Won't give them some hype, but they had some rules, and that also included an 18% automatic tip.
I saw that.
You're talking Barney's.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're going to mention Barney's by name, then
I saw that same thing, and you have a 2-hour limit. They shut down at 11. You have a 2-hour limit, and you have to have reservations beforehand. And the thing is, I think you have a 10 to 15 minute window to be able to be there. 10-minute window?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that. I was like, holy.
Maximum at a table, no table hopping, and you all must arrive at the same time, or thanks for coming out, sport.
Yeah. And we'll take 18% and add it to your bill for tip.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many other places are going to do that just to make up for the fact that they did not have the last 2 months, 3 months of business. And I can understand the need to do it, but everybody's hurting at the same time. So and I think if you don't add that automatic on there, people are going to be more inclined to tip as a thank you instead of being forced to tip.
Yeah, because that 18% is a tip. But you will find, and I have a lot of friends here in the Toronto area, you will find people from areas that are not allowed to open in cities that are allowed to open. I know of at least 30 or 40 people who already have reservations in London from Toronto.
Feels like we've had this conversation before.
They're going to go all over the place. So
as much as we can't open, we will be open because we are coming to either they're going to let places open, or you're going to have people from the Greater Toronto, Hamilton, Windsor, Sarnia travel and fuck it up for everyone else.
So my wife's theory on that, her being a teacher, by the way, was to card anybody who has a reservation. If they have a Toronto address, Windsor address, whatever the case may be, say see you later.
Here's the thing. I have a London address still. So there's a lot of people who don't change their address because for myself, I've only moved here for work.
Yeah, I know loopholes like that, right? So
well, that's the thing. There's a lot of people. So you could never, because what do you do if they just have a passport? Because they just get around it. I just have a passport. Your address isn't on it.
All right. So next Thursday, June the 18th, we will do the follow-up to what we have seen as far as Richmond Street goes here in London, Ontario. Last little bit of news before we get into our big announcement is this. So Gerwick.net, female of the day today is Casey Two Scoots Spinelli. So I throw the support over there at that website. So
you missed one thing.
What?
Bruce Pritchard took over for Paul Heyman, and it's one writing staff, and Bruce Pritchard now runs SmackDown and Raw.
And things can't get any worse. Sean?
No, it's the first time hearing about it. I haven't seen that. It kind of makes sense because of less people and not needing Heyman to travel. But yeah, it's a lot of work to be putting on one person's shoulders. And it also goes, unfortunately, to making both shows look and feel the same.
So anyone who was a Paul Heyman guy, so Aleister Black, who else on Raw?
Cedric Alexander.
Yeah.
Who was it? The Viking Raiders. A lot of guys over there. But hold those thoughts. So, guys, you've seen I've got rid of the backdrop there. I've got rid of the banners that are usually down bottom. We're not going anywhere. I'm going to kick all three of us off, and there is a reason for it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play back-to-back commercials, and then we will do a follow-up as far as anything that's going to be announced at this point as soon as these commercials are done playing. So bear with me a second. I'm going to kick us off, and then basically stay tuned for both commercials produced by Mr. Sean Bates of the Scumbags of Wrestling, and then we'll get into some heavy talk about what's coming up next. There you go, guys. 2 awesome commercials done by Sean Bates of the Scumbags of Wrestling. I had to see if I could get them in time for this show. So back and forth emails going by, and then all of a sudden I was like, okay, hopefully size is good, and sure enough, they were. So what is happening is this. So, for the past, I guess it's been 6 weeks now, including this past Monday, we've done 6 episodes of Fantasy Warfare Tournament. First episode was on YouTube. The next 5 episodes have been exclusive first to Patreon, and then basically coming up is what you see here: the Greatest World Champions, hashtag FWT on TNT. Changes as of this. So with this tournament, it's going to last 4 straight weeks. And then with the 5th being the final. So what happens is we have 64 guys broken down into 16 per bracket. So we have a north bracket, a south bracket, an east bracket, and a west bracket. 63 of the names have been announced so far. We're just waiting on one of the names. That will be in round 2, which is, I'm just going to bring up the dates here. So Fantasy Warfare Tournament presented by TNT Thursday Night Throwdown, Greatest World Champions, all going to be YouTube premieres. I'll get into that in a moment. Episode 1 is going to take place on YouTube. Like I said, premiere Wednesday, June 17th, 2020. Episode 2, Wednesday, June 24th. Episode 3 is Wednesday, July 1st, Canada Day. Episode 4 is going to be Wednesday, July 8th, 2020 on YouTube. The finals is going to be Thursday, July 9th, 2020 in conjunction with both TNT as well as the Scumbags of Wrestling. So basically what's happening, Patreon is no more. The fact is we weren't making money. We weren't getting hits off of Patreon. I haven't shut down the account, but the fact is we want to be able to produce content and get it out to you guys so you guys can see it. We're talking on TNT about stuff that, has happened. Say, for example, this past Monday, we did the King of Kings. I don't want to be like, oh, hey, you got to wait 3 weeks. So, and with that being said, in order to line everything up, Fantasy Warfare Tournament presented by TNT Thursday Night Throwdown Greatest Women's Champions will take place tomorrow on YouTube. That will be the YouTube premiere of it. So Friday, June 12th at 6 p.m. And then to get everything in time, the King of Kings is going to take place Monday, June 15th, 6 p.m. on YouTube. That'll be the YouTube premiere. And then from there, we go into more additional content, like I said. So what will happen is the plan is right now, Monday nights, we will start recording week by week by week. And then finals, like I said, with Final 4 will be Thursday, July 9th in conjunction with TNT as well as the Scumbags of Wrestling. Thing about this, I'm going to get Sean and Steven to talk about this as well. The fact is, we had talked about doing different topics and everything else. And Greatest World Champions, we had done the Greatest Women's Champions, but the Greatest World Champions, it's like, how do we pick just 16? So going back and forth, and Jonesy included as well, it's like, what do we do that's going to be special? Steven wanted to do King of the Ring because of the fact, the King of Kings, because June always meant King of the Ring, and that to me speaks as a wrestling fan as well. But going back and forth with this tournament is, how do we do something special? So Sean, you want to touch base on that, and Steven, maybe get your thoughts on doing what we're doing as far as coming up, as well as shutting down Patreon and doing it on YouTube 2 days later.
Yeah, when we started thinking about the Greatest World Champions, Chris had put out the fact that maybe instead of one bracket of 16, how about do one night of 32? I upped the stakes with saying 64, so it divides evenly into 4 different episodes, doing a whole month worth of this tournament, and that way you can include more people. We're including people from Impact Wrestling, TNA, same people, ROH, AWA, NWA, WCW, WWE, WWF, New Japan, I think Mexico, yes, there is somebody included in that. And so, yeah, we're not just saying Greatest World Champion in WWE history. We're trying to find at least a good mixture, past, present, and future. Not necessarily future, but there are people who are going to be around for a while still and building on their current legacy, but they're all going to be mixed up. And you got people like Lou Thesz, Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, Kevin Owens,
Adam Cole,
Kenny Omega,
people from all generations. And we're going to try and narrow it down. We're even going to try and have special guests as part of it. So we'll have 5 people on the panel, 5 different points of view, and we'll see who it gets narrowed down to in the Final 4 to happen on TNT in a month's time.
All right, Steven, your thoughts on the whole concept?
I'm actually really excited because obviously we've seen all 4 brackets, and I looked at them again today. I don't see an easy matchup. I don't see a person who you're like, well, this could be a 5-0. I can see a lot of very high split decisions. I like just looking at the week 1. It's going to be some very interesting discussions. I have a feeling there'll be votes. There will be a lot more passion. I have a feeling there might be some more arguments. I have a feeling it's going to be must-watch TV. And I like that we're going to go 2 days live or YouTube premiere after. I know we were doing a good cause with the Giver Foundation. Is that what it
Give
is?
for charity with Cody Deaner.
But I think waiting 3 weeks for this is going to be some very intense discussions. I have a feeling. I also have a feeling the finals, TNT and Scumbag podcast at the same time for the Final Four will be. There's some very interesting Final Fours we could have. I think everyone should really enjoy it. I mean, I'm excited when we guys started really talking about this. We did put King of Kings in last week, so it gave us an extra week because we did talk about it last after the Greatest Women's World Champions, and we decided to do King of Kings because of King of the Ring, and it gave us ourselves another week to really think about because we all put in 16 names, so it gave us all some time to really think about not having pieces of shit in it.
Yeah, this will be one that you see research going into it. As Steven was saying, I can't see a lot of 5-0s. I can't see a lot of 4-1s either. There's going to be a lot of 3-2s going on. One of the coolest things about this is we're going to be recording on Monday night starting next Monday. And then basically 2 days later, you'll see the YouTube premiere at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, and then followed by TNT Live on Thursdays. Like I said, the Final Four will be a joint show between myself and Sean Scumbags and TNT. I'll be live on Thursday, like I said, what was that date again?
9th?
July the 9th, yeah. So it won't be a regular TNT show. It'll be a TNT Scumbag special with the Final Four being basically hammering it out, votes going down to Final 2 and then down to Final 1. And then we've had some people that had, like Steven and Sean had mentioned, as far as wanting to be part of this. So you'll be seeing a lot of 5 of us on these shows. I know 2 of them for sure, hopefully all 4. And then the final show, we'll have to see who's available. Sean, you had done an amazing job with the video. The Triple H pick I had to laugh at because holy crap, that was like 2002, 2003 maybe. That was way back in the day when he was bulking up and stuff and that. But cool thing is, I think Sean had included everyone in the tournament in the first video. So if you want to see who's in the, we're not going to give away who's in the brackets yet. We already have given away as far as first round goes. But anybody who's going to be in the tournament is in that first video. The second video was a breakdown of the first round matches. Sean or Steven, do you have that in front of you as far as just giving a listing of who we're going to see this coming Monday and then Wednesday on YouTube?
Chris Jericho versus The Undertaker. Tanahashi versus Edge. Harley Race versus Kevin Owens. Rick Martel versus Jerry the King Lawler. Kurt Hennig versus Sergeant Slaughter. Bully Ray versus Justin Incredible. Sting versus AJ Styles. DDP versus the King of Kings, the game himself, Triple H.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's just 16 names right there. We've got 48 more. So when I put all 64 in the bracket and then basically did the randomizer thing, I was like, holy shit, this can't be happening, you know. So we're gonna get into some debates, we're gonna get into some arguments. It's gonna be fun though, and I can't wait for this coming Monday. And then, like I said, you guys will see the first show next Wednesday on YouTube for the premiere. Yeah, it should be interesting because it's going to be a lot of talking, but it's get us through the summertime anyways, and hopefully through the rest of this COVID shit. As in any time that we've ever done this show, second last segment is devoted to Mr. Sean Bates of the Scumbags of Wrestling. Facebook.com/groups/Scumbags of Wrestling. Sean, maybe touch base on Scott Hunter, what's going on there, because I know his videos are done because he's officially out of quarantine as far as 12:01 tonight goes. But what's going on with regards to his tournament over there?
Yeah, he's been running a promo contest, and we saw the first couple of rounds that included people like the Cadet, John Greed, Shiloh was in it, but he's down to the Final Four, and it's best 2 of 3 falls, basically, and it has Chuck Bell taking on Kyle Boone, who advanced under some interesting circumstances. And, of course, Alien Habanero is taking on Miss Becky. And Miss Becky is from this area. And, honestly, I have to say her videos have been really improvement on her character that she's normally had over in the independent scene that she's been hanging out in. She's got a goth video going on now. So definitely want to check out Miss Becky versus Alien Habanero and Chuck Bell against Caleb Boone. And people get a vote by 1 point for a thumbs up or 2 points for a heart. And I think they're still just working on the first fall of the semifinals right now.
All right. And as far as the Scumbags of Wrestling goes and your T-shirt, how's that going?
Well, we have episode 109 coming up this weekend. We're going to basically break down some of the news, a lot of the results that have happened over the last week, and then look at Backlash and do predictions, much like we just did earlier this evening. And then as far as the T-shirt and posters go, I had one order already put in for T-shirts. They're coming out this week, but that doesn't mean people are shut out. They can email me at scumbagswrestling@gmail.com or check out our Facebook page. $30 for a T-shirt, $15 for the poster, and I'm picking up the posters tomorrow. Got a huge stack of those coming. You won't want to miss it. And the money, as I said, is going to go to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto. And I'm part of Steven's Wrestling Journey for Chiari malformation research. So it's definitely going to a good cause. Get on board. You get an awesome T-shirt designed by Nigel Lewis. Can't go wrong. 22 stars of the independent wrestling scene here in Ontario. And if this sells well, I'm going to do it again with the other talents who were missed out on for this shirt. So we can keep on going, but let's get this first batch and this first pressing going.
Yeah, I think my vote's Scott Hunter for the second T-shirt, by the way.
Yeah, he kind of jokingly popped up, and when I first showed the picture to say, hey, this is coming out, he's like, I don't see Brad and I know how I would actually incorporate that, because I was looking at different comic book covers over the last while when I was trying to come up with the extra features that would make it into a comic book cover. And I have an idea of how I would incorporate at least Scott, if not Brad, as well as part of the upcoming one. And the next one also has an idea of monsters and heroes, I'm thinking, with some of the other talent that are over on the Golden Horseshoe area in Ottawa, to include them. So there's some people that I've got in mind.
All right, Steven, who are some thoughts that come to mind as far as who should be on that second shirt?
I'm trying to think of who's missing off. Like, I'm blanking out.
Well, there's definitely Psycho Mike Rollins that didn't make the cut, unfortunately. And I'm thinking guys like Justin Sane, Congo Kong, John Greed,
Holden Albright as well.
Holden Albright.
Yeah. You got some fun with that wolf mask.
Monsters and heroes.
Well, don't forget Barry. You got guys who go to Barry from. So Anthony Gaines, he stands out. He's always been interesting. Scotty O'Shea, the hacker.
Yeah, you want to talk about monsters? Yeah, Scotty O'Shea is one right there.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head who's, without looking at the picture, who's missing from the first. Like, off the top of my head, I'm drawing a blank, honestly, right now. I'm excited to get mine. I'm hoping it will be in the mail soon.
I'm picking them up hopefully tomorrow, if not early next week. I got a message saying they ran out of white ink.
Oh, okay. I also have a special surprise coming right now for Chris to show him some stuff that I have coming. I can't wait for it to get here. I'm hoping.
Is it some PG shit?
Oh, you're going to fucking love this shirt that I've got.
All right, we'll have to maybe for the first episode of Fantasy Warfare Tournament. So
it won't be here. It's coming from somewhere south in the south. It's coming up.
Oh, tennis racket?
I can't say. You're just going to wait to see. Thank you. Fuck you. Bye.
All right. That should be a shirt right there. Thank you. Fuck you. Bye.
Yeah, it is. Jim Cornette has it.
Well, there you go. You just announced.
He has it. Oh, fuck. I can't wait. That's not the shirt I got because that I can't wear.
So besides the shirt I got coming to me from Sean, I got to pick up another one to outdo that Jim Cornette one. But guys, a serious note, check out my website, cwnonline.ca. Going since 2009. News, podcast. You'll see the TNT stuff that we do, the Fantasy Warfare Tournament on there as well. I can start doing listings again, which I'm happy about. So you can actually go to Canadian Independent Wrestling. There's only 2 shows I know about right now, but there are still 2 shows. I put up the New Japan stuff today, so you'll see the New Japan listings in the pay-per-view section, as well as anything else I can launch on that website. But that is my baby right there. But guys, I'll leave it at this. Like I said, Fantasy Warfare Tournament, best champions, greatest champions, greatest world champions at that. Coming up this coming Monday to be taped. And then from there, like I said, Wednesday premieres on YouTube, with the first one being next Wednesday. And then, like I said, tomorrow night, you're going to see on YouTube greatest women's champions. And then basically coming up on Monday, you're going to see the King of Kings. And then we go live kind of from there. So I'm excited. Guys, it's been
a very good argument, me and you. People need to watch me and you getting an argument over the women's one. We have on that one.
They haven't seen nothing yet. That was tame.
Oh, I know. I have a good feeling we're getting a real good one on this Greatest World Champions.
We won't do the Greatest World Champions. Well, I mean, yeah, but I'll do this. I will basically get a shot of whiskey into me, and then we'll go at it. But not during the Greatest World Champions, so you won't be seeing it until probably the end of July. But I want to take it seriously. So, like I said, we are going to do our research when it comes to the Greatest World Champions. Steven has been great as far as the Wikipedia references and how many championships and where they've won championships. And I think it was the King of Kings. And who was it? I think it was Jerry the King Lawler, and how many championships he has won in his career. I mean, that's absolutely outstanding. So one last comment before we shut down. And again, Chad Peterson, thanks for being a fan tonight. He goes, LOL, can't wait. So I think he's not to. I don't think he's LOL in the tournament. I think he's LOL at me and Steven going at it. So
yeah,
we'll have to wait and see there. But guys, it has been great. Like I said, check us out next Wednesday on YouTube with the premiere of Greatest World Champions. I might release probably on the TNT website as far as the first bracket goes, because it has been announced. Sean, hopefully you continue with your videos, because I think it'd be pretty cool if we had that video intro kind of, as we're doing TNT and this and that.
There'll be one for every round.
All right, good. All right, so guys, last thing, just a moment of silence here just before I do the sign-off video for the one and only Mr. Johnny Walker, Mr. Wrestling 2. So guys, thanks a lot for being with us, and we will see everybody next week.
Have a good one.
Have a